open up and they'll sell fair food on their trailer.
They travel around?
Yeah.
They're going the cross country.
It's an official food trailer from, like a fair.
Yeah.
Very
It looks
big.
real nice.
Yeah. Oh, I have to check my phone beeped. Oh, did you bring me the thing?
Yep, bag's right there.
Oh, thank you. This is empty. I just want to take it out and put it back. I cleaned it. Okay.
All right, who would like to pray us in?
Dear Lord, I thank you for this day. I thank you for this time together in fellowship. Oh, so much going on in this world. Just keep us calm and keep our focus on you. That's the important thing. Bless this day and keep people safe out there, and thank you for this weather. In your name, amen.
Amen. So in John chapter 21, verses 15 through 19, Jesus redeems Peter. After breakfast, Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" "Yes, Lord," Peter replied. "You know I love you." "Then feed my lambs," Jesus told him. Jesus repeated the question, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord," Peter said. "You know that I love you." "Then take care of my sheep," Jesus said. A third time he asked him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt that Jesus asked the question a third time. He said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Then feed my sheep. I tell you, when you were young, you were able to do as you liked. You dressed yourself and went wherever you wanted to go. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and others will dress you and take you where you don't want to go." Jesus said this to let him know by what kind of death he would glorify God. Then Jesus told him, "Follow me." And the key verse from today is, a third time he asked him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was hurt that Jesus asked the question a third time. He said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. Then feed my sheep." So, why do you think Jesus asked that question 3 times? Do you love me? Why do you think?
Because he knew that he had denied him 3 times? This is before, wait, is this before Jesus died?
No, this is after. So
Yeah, just to remind him, I just want to make sure you understand what I said to you.
And what do we know from Bible 101? What about the number 3?
Yeah, something about number.
It's the perfect complete number.
It's a complete number, right? And so what happened when Peter denied Jesus 3 times on Holy Thursday? 3 times he completely denied Jesus. He totally turned his back on Jesus. So in order to redeem Peter, Jesus had to ask him 3 times, "Do you love me?" And when Peter replied, "Yes, I do," 3 times, that tells us that Peter completely, totally loves Jesus. So that's why.
You think it was just his way of making sure the point stuck with Peter?
Making sure the point stuck, right.
Because Peter has a tendency to say, "Yes, I do," and then he says, "No, I don't."
He forgets, he gets distracted, Peter.
Yeah.
He fishes and he's a working man. He can't remember all that stuff. So yes.
He's very human, okay?
He's very human. And we know that the Bible always gives us perfect examples of real people to tell us that anybody can work for God. If these screwballs can work for me, then you guys can too. Because Peter's just like all of us. We're forgetful, we're impetuous, we're impulsive, and that's why. And we get, in our takeaways, don't forget the notes, we get asked the same question by Jesus. Jesus asks us, do we love him? Are we committed to him above everything else? And will we deny ourselves, take up our cross, and follow him? This is something that's been with us since the Old Testament. God tells us in the 10 Commandments, you have to put me first. You can't have any other gods. You can't have anything before me. So when Jesus repeats this, do you love me? He's just reiterating what we've heard since the beginning of time. Do you love me enough to put me first?
And Pastor, did you go over the words for love in these?
No.
Because the first two were philo, which is the brotherly love,
Yep.
and the third one was agape, which is that unconditional love.
Good point. Good point. Because in the Greek language, the Greek language is very economical. You can have one word and it can have a lot of different meanings. So good point, Deb. And they all mean something different.
So don't you think that this is so relevant to today?
Oh, without a doubt.
It is so easy to say, oh my gosh, you know, like Home Alone kid, and not think, wait a minute, why are we doing this? And keep God in focus.
Yeah.
It's so easy to walk away for a few minutes and get caught up in the news, and
Get frantic.
it's nice to go click or whatever, you know, turn it all off, because it's
Yeah.
annoying as heck.
Right. And
So-
how much news are you actually getting?
None. I just want to find out if they found that little girl yet. I mean, or were there any major accidents, you know, in our area? Everyone's okay. That's really all I want. So, it's just scary,
Well,
but I know, remember.
is it really scary?
No, it's just, I don't like the new normal. I don't like, it's weird to see little kids wear masks in public. It is just bizarre.
But it's a good thing.
I know.
Because little kids spread disease real fast.
Yeah, I
They
know.
usually catch everything. And we need to get used to this. Because this is probably going to last a while.
It's almost, look, I think of it a little bit like deciding to become a pessimist. All I'm going to listen to is all the negative things all day long, and again and again and again and again. Who, at some level, who wouldn't get depressed and
Oh.
think the worst of things?
Yes, if you hear
I mean,
the same thing
But
over
it's
and
a
over again.
choice.
Yeah, it is a
You
choice.
can't allow it.
No.
Walk away.
It's a medium that just tells you about the bad things
Mhm.
for the most part.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Jesus really mean for the earth to run around trying to keep diseases out of them, you know? Maybe it's just the way it's supposed to be, you know?
Well, and that's another thing. You look at the pandemic of 1918. Sure, they wore masks, but they didn't shut everything down. So, are we just supposed to stop life when things happen?
Yeah.
No. The Bible tells us, why worry about tomorrow? Tomorrow's going to happen.
Gene and I were just talking about that in the foyer.
And there's,
Mhm.
you got more than enough to deal with today.
And
You
then
think
the thing
of,
about germs getting, I mean, you get less immune from them if you're covering up all the time.
Yes.
Compared to being exposed to them like a kid.
You know?
Yeah.
When we were kids, we played in the dirt. Yeah, okay, there might have been cats in the area doing their thing, but hey, if we got impetigo or whatever, we got it. You know what I mean? Okay.
I think what people are most worried about right now is with this pandemic is when we get diseases like that, there was usually something they could do to cure it or get you through it. And right now, they don't have a vaccine for that. So.
They have an ultimate, well, not an ultimate cure, but they do have, my sister at the hospital said they are making such advances, and they've learned to do different things with the respirator to help people get through this faster.
And the thing is, there's what, a 99.9%
recovery.
recovery rate.
That's what Jim was always saying. He says,
For the 1 or 2% that get it. So the percentage is so small, but we digress.
Yeah.
We're Bible study learning about
sorry.
who we should trust in,
Mhm.
so we don't have to worry about all this stuff.
Sorry.
And that's kind of the way I look at it. It's like I don't really watch the news because I really don't care.
Mhm.
When they're,
Is it going to rain when it rains outside I'll put on my baseball cap.
When everything is said and done, they think one way of putting it is that if someone is in the last 1 or 2 years of their life, anyway, are the only ones really going, that there has to be major complications in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it that way, it's sort of a return to earlier times where there's nothing you could do, and then flu'd come along and wipe out. I mean, it sounds, I'm not making little of it, but wipe out
If it's the
people
end
that were old
times,
and close.
And this is one of the plagues.
Yeah, and the thing
Yeah.
is,
It's a fruitless endeavor to try and stop it.
how long should we prolong life?
Okay, this is a whole different subject, because.
Yeah.
It's a whole different subject.
But it goes back to trusting God and.
Right,
Absolutely.
yeah, right, okay, back to trusting God.
And he knows what's gonna happen.
Right,
So-
exactly.
So the way I look at it is, I really don't care.
Right.
I've got a thing on trusting God. I was watching a television, it's evangelist, which I don't ever do, but he just caught my attention, and he was saying that God put David, King David, in the cave because he had God had it all planned out to the very end. And that's kind of like, he's letting us go through this because he knows what we're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
What
God,
we do, he knows the end.
right.
But ultimately, it shows our hearts. What our attitudes are, what we think, what we say, what we do, how we react to certain situations. It shows our heart. And that's what God is most important. You know, are we going to trust him? Are we going to freak out?
And how we act towards people who do freak out.
Yeah.
What we should do is we shouldn't say, get over it. We should try to comfort them.
What's their level of trust and obey?
Well, I
What,
think,
well, I mean, that's trust and obey in the heart.
right.
Measuring the level is what's interests God to some degree.
And when we see someone that's freaking out, try to calm them down. You know, don't give them your political views on it or anything else. Just tell them, try to find out why they're worried. Are you worried you're going to catch it? What are the chances? And then tell them why you're not afraid.
But sometimes that's not enough.
But that's the only thing we have.
Right. I mean, we
Have
can
to
be
find out.
compassionate, we can pray for them,
Yeah.
and try to understand.
Understand them first.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because we have a dear sister
Rich.
that is very
Rich.
anxious about this, and I don't get it,
Yeah.
but it's the fact that she still is very
Right.
anxious, so.
And these are her feelings. We have to try to understand her feelings.
And I know she knows God, and I know she loves God, and I know she's a prayer warrior,
Yeah.
It's still freaking her out.
and it's still freaking her out, so.
And that's gonna happen.
It's sort of like when the Twin Towers fell. I was home, but the kids were at school, Betsy was in preschool. And there was a friend who called me up and she just was panicking. I said, turn the TV off. Because they kept,
Yeah.
they kept replaying it. Turn the TV off. Go in the yard. Go do something else. Go clean a closet. And you have to walk away and do something else. You can't.
Can't focus on it.
No.
I think one of the most disturbing media images was people jumping out windows.
Yeah.
I mean, and so,
I
anyway,
know,
it's
I know.
almost too bad for
It's a different
the nation
world.
to be viewing that.
Well, and I say it was a different world, but it's still the same world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
It's the crazy world we live in now.
That's why we need God so much. Because it's,
If you look back in history, it's just history repeating itself in a different way.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
People have always tried to take over other countries. People have always massacred other people.
Oh yeah, look at the Old Testament. Oh,
Well, not only the Old Testament, but just history in
world.
general,
Yeah, the world,
of Europe
yeah.
and Asia and.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what another thing Jesus is trying to remind Peter is, love God with everything you have, every bit of yourself. your mind, your soul, your body, your strength, and love your neighbors as yourself. Jesus is saying, this is what I taught you guys. You need to remember this when I'm gone and continue to do this. And there's some other things we have to understand. Like, staple aside a little bit. We have to have faith in what Jesus says. And part of being a disciple is being in relationship with God, who created us, redeemed us, sustains us, loves us beyond all imagination. No matter how often we reject Him, God wants us back. And we're also called to join in the healing work of the kingdom. And now more than ever, like, your friend who is worried about COVID, how we can try to comfort them. And living into God's call to do this and love our neighbors and love the least of these, it should be what we live for. And when we're faithless, God always remains faithful. That's one of the things that comes through the Psalms. Is that God's unforgiving love, His unforgettable love, His unending love. You see that in the Psalms over and over again. He never gives up on us. And when we stumble, God picks us up. Peter stumbled, Jesus was right there to pick him up, to bring him back home. God never gives up on us, and His grace, this faith we have in God, it allows us to get up every morning, to realize that it's all in His control. He's got our best interests at heart. Sure, life's going to be hard, but we're going to get through it. So what do you think Jesus meant when He said, do you love me more than these? Do you love me more than these?
Other people, the rest of the herd.
The rest of the herd.
But I would almost say, insert the world, when they talk about the.
Two ways to look at it. Is Jesus saying, you love me more than you love the disciples? And when you think of it that way, what Jesus is saying is, you've got to put God first. You have to put me in front of everybody else. The other thing you could have been asking, if you look at it a different way, is Jesus asking Peter, do you think you love me than these others love me? Now, that's probably not likely. It's probably the first one, but that could be too. Who are Jesus' lambs?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Believers or everybody?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Because there's a couple scriptures that say take care of the believers, but we know that at this time what Jesus is talking about is go out into the world, preach the gospel, bring as many as you can back.
Everyone's a potential
Everybody.
believer and everyone's a lamb.
Right. Everybody has the potential to believe, and we can't give up no matter.
Jesus doesn't want anyone to be lost.
He doesn't want anybody to be lost. He leaves the 99 behind to go after the one. Absolutely. It's everybody. How do you think we live out Jesus' call to feed my lambs? How do we feed His lambs?
By serving, helping others,
Serving,
talking
and
to your friend, talking to people who need help. By delivering those things to Hillcrest yesterday, that felt so good.
Yeah. And
What'd you deliver?
Oh, they were asking for craft supplies, bingo things, because they're stuck in their rooms again.
Oh.
But it was nice to see that young girl that we always see there. And she said, just put it right inside the first door. That's closer than we got last time.
Right.
Last time we had to leave it and run. They didn't want us anywhere near till they came out. But no, there were people outside visiting. It just felt so good to be there. But
And
helping them.
maybe in a couple months we'll actually be inside and we'll be doing worship again there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when
So
Jesus...
in general, about feeding the lambs, it's just looking outside yourself and meeting the needs of others.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, not just food, but spiritual, psychological, spiritually, any way they need. Any way they need. We should always be on the lookout for how we can help other people. You know, Joyce gave Kim a ride home yesterday because Kim walked here. And that's, yeah, that's a big
You
trip.
know, I think she finds a calling with the board, and to walk in warm weather from there to here to work the board was a big thing for her.
Right.
She really enjoys that board. You could see she just goes
What?
right in.
What word?
Our soundboard.
Oh,
We're
oh,
training.
yeah, okay.
Deb is
Yeah.
training people, so we have
Yeah.
backup. So if Deb decides to go with Ken on the road for a weekend, she can. She doesn't have to be committed to that board.
More than that, right now with the two services, if somebody did a Saturday night
Yeah.
service and I do the Sunday morning service, I
Right.
think that's what we were
Right.
talking about more is
Right.
getting
Yeah.
somebody to fill the other service.
So here's one of God's lambs who walked here to work on the soundboard, but she needed a ride home. And you took care of that.
Well, and the Bible says that you don't help your neighbor when you have the power to do it. That's a sin. And it's such a simple thing to do. I mean, it's not like I'm bringing on my back, you know.
Yeah.
I've been blessed a lot from God.
Yeah.
You know, got a warm home and a cold home and a garage car and I've done everything.
So Jesus is saying, be aware. Be aware of your surroundings, be aware of the people around you, and watch out for each other. What would our world be like if we all did this? You know, if we all watch out for each other.
Would be better.
It'd be a pretty good world. Almost like Eden, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Hey, but there's a lot of different paradoxes to by doing for others and getting away from self-absorption, self-centeredness, you're doing what's best for self too.
Yeah.
So if you could even make a decision, a selfish decision to do what's best for self, you're helping others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I hope I don't.
No, I mean just you win either way. I mean,
Right.
that's not your motivation.
No, that wasn't your motivation. What does it mean when Jesus commands, follow me? Follow me.
Do the things that you would like you to do.
Trust
will
Him.
do.
And do the things that Jesus asks without thinking, pretty much.
I think it goes a little deeper than that.
Go
Do
ahead.
the things that Jesus does. He sets the example.
Yes.
When you tell somebody to follow you, you want them to
Follow
get
you.
behind you and do the things that you do.
Kind of like follow the leader, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus says.
Like
Jesus-
Simon says.
Exactly.
Jesus says,
Exactly.
"Cap
Jesus
your
says-
head."
But he has set the example for us.
Right.
Right.
And that's one of the very important things why Jesus came to earth. He came to save us, but he also came to be an example of how we should act. Yeah, that's a very good point, Deb. Jesus acted this way. And that's how we're supposed to progress in our journey. We're supposed to try to become more like him in the things that he does. We are never, ever going to be as divine as God, but we should always try to emulate and do the things that he did.
I was just gonna say, it's, if I sum it up, it's repetitive, but trust and obey. Yeah.
That kind of wraps it up, doesn't it? Trust and obey. If we trust Jesus and obey him, we're going to act a certain way. And to obey him, we have to trust him. It's cyclical. It's cyclical, it's repetitive. We just have to get to that point.
And what would Jesus do?
Right.
Yeah.
What would Jesus
Yeah.
do? What would he do?
You need the bracelets again.
Yeah.
I think we've got a couple of those around yet, don't we? What would Jesus do bracelets?
WWJD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we do. I think they're in your office.
I'll have to check. good news do we have to share with our friends, relatives, and neighbors? And how can we share this good news? Do we have any good news?